I really notice that when I am digitally distracted, that it's really hard for me to tell my kids not to be digitally distracted. So I'm thinking about putting my life on airplane mode. I'm thinking about how do I go back to living a little bit more analog. My wife is all there. She hates tech. But I use it. Like you and I are having this incredible conversation using technology. There's this incredible ability to connect and to do amazing things, but it's having some significant impacts as well. And you mentioned that our brains are changing, our relationships are changing. What impact is this having on our brain?
So we know that as much as possible, we want to be at the top in the front of our brain, which is known as the prefrontal cortex or the attic of our brain. Typically, what happens when we live a screen-mediated life or we spend way too much time in algorithms or they're making decisions for us, we suffer probably the most disastrous effect of use it or lose it that I can think of. If we're not using the top and the front of our brain, and it pulls us to the bottom of our brainstem, which by nature is more reactive, more impulsive, more emotional, more stress oriented, then we're just spending more time flexing those muscles, right? So I like to think about these as muscles. And the top and the front of our brain, those are the muscles that help us drive forward on performance and goal setting and thinking ahead. And social communication also lives there. Empathy is up there, perspective taking. These really key social and emotional muscles are at the top and the front of our brain. But the incentive of these companies is to keep us operating from our brainstem. There have been some really great researchers. One of them, a prominent advocate, Tristan Harris, calls this the race to the bottom of the brainstem. And that's what these companies are doing, is they're to capture our attention and distract us such that we are not able to access the top and the front of our brain where equal decision making can live, and also social communication and attachment also lives as well.
How does that lead into then disconnection? And I was sitting with at a conference recently at a table, and I had two researchers from University of Waterloo there. We were discussing the difference between loneliness and solitude, which they described as loneliness is you're alone not by choice, solitude is that you're alone by choice, but neither of those is actually truly happening, because when you're lonely, you have a phone which kind of tricks you into thinking maybe you're connected, but you're not really connected. So you don't get the signals to re-engage. Similarly, when you're in solitude, you're still connected. Therefore, you're not truly in solitude and you don't get those benefits. I'd love your thoughts on disconnection and the positives and how these signals are all getting messed up for us right now.
Yeah, let's just create a bit of an equation here. So being alone plus relaxation could equal something like solitude, mindfulness. But being able to be alone is actually a really important protective factor against loneliness, because the equation is also being alone plus distress creates loneliness, right? And so whenever there's a smartphone in our hand, absent of social communication, or we don't have those social inputs such as eye contact, facial expression, being able to be around other people in a shared environment, that creates that low level of distress that constantly ripples beneath the surface. So being alone plus distress will create that loneliness epidemic that we are seeing across the board. And so just as you say, it feels like we're connected, but we're not actually. Scientifically, we know that that is not true.
When you say scientifically we know that that's not true, I'd love to pull on that thread a little bit, because sometimes we're text messaging people. We have a chat group, but it's not the same as getting together in real life. We know how important that is, but I'd love to just break that down and explore that a little bit more, because I think it's a really important factor for us to rebuild in our world right now.
Especially because we are completely redefining what we call social. Um, the companies really smartly called this social media, right? And they gave us this really big promise, this golden promise of you are going to be more connected if you use these apps and these devices. And unfortunately, that isn't in the research. That is not what happened. It has disconnected us and polarized us more than ever before. And so it's a form of connection that is not by nature social or connective. And so I think about some key studies. There was one of the pandemic that found that over Zoom, we are releasing less oxytocin, which is hormone. And so anytime we have screen-mediated communication, we're releasing less oxytocin and therefore not getting access to that really stable, reliable, supportive bonding hormone called oxytocin that we need to be connected and feel connected with each other. I also think about another really important study that found that loneliness literally reshapes the brain and it deteriorates really key regions of the prefrontal cortex. And so it's not just that, are feeling these things or thinking these things, it is having actual physical brain changes that shows up in brain imaging.
Isn't it amazing that this is rewiring us? This is literally like changing our brains at scale. And our relationships are changing. And that's having a significant impact upon our ability to regulate ourselves. Like this is a really, really, really curious, powerful impact. I think that, how do you see it changing fundamentally our relationships and our ability to have relationships?
I mean, if we just get some perspective here, humans have been through a lot of really big revolutions and technological changes in our lives, right? So I'm thinking about even the introduction of, let's say, steam and electricity, and even the introduction of computing in the early aughts. We have been through a lot of really important changes, but really smart people, really good researchers are saying this is as if it's a tsunami level of change. This is as if it's fire and the wheel and electricity and steam all happening at once. And that really is AI boom, right? We are being made to sort through a lot of big changes. So if you're a human on this planet right now, you are feeling it. You are absolutely sitting with a lot of discomfort of uncertainty and change. So much so that Amy Webb has also coined this as Gen T. So any human alive today is a part of Gen T. And the T does not stand for technology, it stands for generation transition. We are at a very pivotal moment in terms of our ability to connect with each other. And like you say, it is also changing us biologically and neurobiologically with each other, such that it could also alter the course of evolution because of it.
Talk to me about that, because I've heard people say that this is the beginning of the emergence of an entirely new species where we are actually merging with technology. Like we all have a phone on our person at all times. You might even have headphones in your ears that are measuring your heart rate. We have wearables now. Talk to me about that potential evolution into a new species, which can be awesome but terrifying at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, let's just think about the human body and its functions, right? We, of course, have a brain and a nervous system. The whole job of a nervous system is to turn on and turn off our stress responses. These companies have really expertly figured out how to create a nervous system outside of our body, which is that we have become reliant on technology to do what is already given to us for free from biology. And so, in a lot of ways, we've become dependent on these devices, not because we are just so addicted that we just want to be there. It's almost as if we have to. It's almost as if it is the water and the air that we need to survive, right? It's become, like you say, another limb or another body part that without it, we feel untethered. We don't feel whole.
Have you ever done a digital detox? Like stopped using your technology? Like,
Yes, I have done many. And I do think that I've been through, I've also helped many families and kids also detox from technology too. So we can certainly talk about that. But using my own body and brain as a lab and an experiment site, I usually find that the most successful I can be at detoxing from this stuff is if there's something to replace it. But in this world of hyper, we just become so reliant and dependent on our devices that they're also vices for us as well, right? So there's no other drug on planet Earth that will do that. That will be the stressor and the soother, the relief and the reward at the exact same time. I strongly believe that these things, again, are designed to do what they do, but they also replace very key muscles and organs in our bodies. And so in terms of that detox piece, all the research shows that it's about 30 days absent from technology or the specific app that keeps you hooked. So whether that's email, whether that's Twitter/X, whether that's Instagram Reels and TikTok, whether that's YouTube, 30 days off of this stuff gives your brain a break. And that gives enough time for the dopamine receptors in our brain to reset and regenerate. But here's the kicker, is that when we've had too much time on the technology, there is also evidence that shows that it permanently rewires the brain such that we can't go back to it at the same level. Otherwise, it will just reignite that same cycle of addiction.
oh my gosh, so you literally have to replace this with something healthy and keep it going almost like we're never going back here again.
This is a bold claim, but I do think it's true. We have raised a generation of addicts and dependents who these normalized drugs of choice. And so these are digital drugs in a lot of ways. But I think a lot of these companies would have us believe that they're essential because in a lot of ways in the fabric of society, they have become essential, whether it's because our wallet and our money is there, or because our email and our communication with work is there, or because our lifelines are there, right? Like FaceTime and texting with each other. We have really inserted this form of communication such that it has really changed the course of our development.